Welcome to Items On, a podcast where you get to meet your favorite players both on and off the sticks. My name is Dawit Ethiopium Mengistu, and with me today is Wizzrobe. Wizzrobe, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. Pretty good day so far.
So, first off, how did Super Smash Gun go? I saw that you made a pretty good run there.
Yeah, so I only did 64. It was an okay run. I wouldn't say it was like the best. It wasn't like that bad either. It was an okay run. I got 7th, so at least I made top 8. What else? I had to fight like the 3 hardest Kirby's, and they were all game 5. I ended up losing them. Although the hardest, who I personally expect to be the hardest, who was the number 1 seed, KYSK, I went game 5 last stock, and I made him switch off Kirby, which no one's probably ever done as a Yoshi player. And I had like guaranteed stuff. I kind of blew it, and I ended up losing that, which sucks because that would have been like a major win. But I saw a lot of progress with the tournament, a lot of like improvement, and they kind of agreed with me. Like the players I talked to, like Boom and KYSK, they said they felt like I improved a lot. So there's still some good things that came out of it. So it was pretty good overall, I guess.
Have you been putting in a lot of time in 64 then recently?
Before the tournament, I was putting in a lot of time. But like I even tried to prepare a little bit earlier than usual. Like, I mean, I'm always, you're always practicing to some degree, but I feel like, most people, they kind of ramp it up before as the tournament gets closer.
Mm-hmm.
I tried to ramp it up like even farther out than usual, and I think it helped me for sure. It was just, it could have gone either way in a lot of cases, and it didn't go my way basically. But it was still overall like a pretty good tournament. Yeah.
Awesome, dude. Well, let's get into it. How did you first like find Super Smash Bros? I mean, did you start off with 64 Melee Brawl?
So I mean, I started casually, obviously, like everyone. And I mean, I guess I just want to dig into the story if you want.
Yeah, please.
Okay. So basically, my friend, I have a childhood friend. We were neighbors, basically, or like he lived a couple houses down. We grew up together. This was like really young. Like, I mean, our families knew each other since I was like probably like a toddler or something of that sort. And I grew up with him, and so our thing was like Legos, basically. When I was like 4 or 5, I don't know. And then like when I was like 6, I think, they got a GameCube. And I think I had technically played a couple of video games before then, but I don't know, something about it. I enjoyed them. Like I remember playing a Tarzan game on the computer. I played one of our neighbors, this lady, she had an actual NES. So one of the very first games I ever played was Super Mario Brothers on the NES, even though like that was in the early 2000s. Like that's not my era, but that was one of the first games still playing on an actual NES.
Mm-hmm.
And then, but then my neighbor, my friend, their family got a GameCube, and eventually we ended up playing this game. It was Smash Bros. Melee. And after that, like that first time playing that with like him and his brother and my siblings and our friends and all that, we played it. I don't know. That was some of the most fun I ever had in my whole life. And from that point forward, like video games were like the new obsession, and that kind of got me hooked on it. And then there was basically no turning back ever since then. So that's like the very beginning. That's like the casual stuff, but then the competitive stuff comes more later.
And how old were you when you first, played on that GameCube? That fateful morn.
Sure. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I was 6 years old.
Okay.
Give or take. I wasn't older. I was either 6 or I'm pretty sure it was 6, yeah, around that age. So yeah.
What year would that be then?
I think it was 2004.
Wow. Okay.
I think it was 2004. I'd have to like, I don't know like exacts because it's like all stuff when I was younger and stuff. But I'm pretty confident it was 2004 or at least very close. But yeah, that's how it started.
So how did you transition from like that casual, gaming with your friends and your family to like, oh, I'm actually now at a tournament? Like, did you watch anything or did you like, were you on Smash boards or Facebook or?
Um, so like how did I transition basically? To
Yeah.
like yeah, so ever since, I learned how crazy video games were, like I just trying to think. So we never had a GameCube, I don't think, until like years later, a couple years later.
Hmm.
My family didn't get one. Eventually we got one. I'm trying to remember what age I was. I don't remember. But yeah, basically I didn't get any of those like games my friend had, my neighbor had, until like a couple years later. We eventually got a GameCube like years later,
Hmm.
and then I finally got Smash, and so I was just playing it all the time and other video games, and um, I think eventually the first competitive matches I found were on YouTube, and it was like Isaiah and Ken playing doubles or something. Those are like the very first matches I saw. And when I saw them and saw how fast they were moving, it was just like mind blowing. Like just seeing the game played, but like just on such a high level is just mind blowing, especially at a young age. And so ever since I saw those videos, I want to say I was like maybe 9 or 10 when I saw those videos.
Hmm.
Um, Somewhere around that age. I always wanted to go to a tournament because ever since I got the game myself, I would always play at home alone. My siblings would play, like my sisters would play a couple times here and there, especially when they were younger. But for the most part, it was mainly just me alone playing against computers, and I don't know, I love the game, and but yeah, I saw those videos, and so eventually my problem was I didn't really know what to do. I didn't have an older brother, or I had an older sister, but she wasn't really into that stuff. So I didn't have any guidance of like, okay, how can I go to a tournament? I didn't have any guidance. And so I wanted to go to a tournament for like 2 or 3 years ever since I found out about those videos.
Hmm.
And I just once I had turned 13, at some point during that year, I figured out how to use google.com, and that's pretty much what opened up the pathway for me. Is like I found Smashboards, and I figured out like, okay, tournament in Orlando or whatever, and I finally found something. And then I asked my parents if I could go, and I think it took a little bit of convincing, but eventually I went. And then um, yeah, that was like my dream, my like life dream, to go to a tournament. And then I finally figured it out. Like I probably would have went to a tournament when I was like 11 or something if I had some kind of like guidance or like someone helping me out.
Hmm. People
But yeah.
don't, yeah, people don't realize that before the age of like Twitter and all that type of stuff, like you had to search to find out where the tournaments were. Like,
Yeah, and the other thing is like I remember when I was younger, like yeah, like I didn't there was not really social media, or at least not as prevalent. And like growing up, I would play computer games, but it's just like the extent of my knowledge was just like I knew how to click on the shortcut and that was it.
yeah.
Like I didn't know how to search or anything. And then once I was 13, I kind of like, okay, that's how you do it. And then but I had to like figure out everything on my own. Like I didn't have any guidance, like I said. So that's why it took me longer than it otherwise would have. I would have loved to go to a tournament when I was like 10 or 11 if I could have, but I didn't know what to do, basically. Yeah.
So, describe that first day when you walked into that venue. I mean, was it like a
Uh,
local, a regional? Like, what was
it
it
was a
like?
it was a local, but like the scale of it was like it kind of maybe it's more of I don't think it's a regional, but it like back in those days, like it was a monthly, and the monthly was kind of like it was pretty big looking. Like I would say I don't think it was a regional. It's just like those locals were at crazy. Like Hungry Box was there, Colbull, Plup,
Wow.
all these people, and there's just like the whole scene was there. And I was super nervous, but the TO at the time, Zorro, he was like super accommodating, super nice, and he was like the first person I played, so I was like a good like first person to play because he was like very, welcoming and stuff. And I remember like, I mean, I was super nervous, and I mean, it got better throughout the tournament, but uh, I remember when I played my first matches versus him, he was like, "This is not your first tournament," because I knew how to like wave land and wave shine and like do a lot of advanced tech and stuff. And um, it's kind of like during those 2 or 3 years where I didn't know how to go to tournaments, I was just playing at home by myself. I just practiced tech skill that whole time. So my first tournament, people were pretty impressed by like what I could pull off because I had never been to a tournament yet. I'm pulling off like all this tech skill that most people aren't that proficient at when they first start competitive.
Hmm.
But I had just been practicing the tech skill and looking at YouTube videos for years. So I was already like a little bit ahead of where most people would be at their first tournament because of that.
What was it like? I mean, most of us, we don't join the scene at that age, right? Like, was it nerve wracking? I mean, I could only imagine.
Yeah, it was pretty nerve wracking, I would say. I mean, I was all I'm not. That's not usually like the type of thing I'm comfortable with, anyways. Just like going out and doing something new at that age, especially. So yeah, it was hard, but I knew I really wanted to do it, so I just kind of fought through it, and I mean, it was worth it. I mean, those like I knew I wanted to do it, so even though I was nervous, and I mean, I was way younger than almost everybody there too,
Hmm.
so that's another thing. Like everybody's way older than me. Like I don't really know how to act and all that. So, but I mean, it turned out good. I mean, the first tournament was a brawl tournament, and then a month later was the melee tournament. But that's kind of like that was my first melee tournament, and that one was like that was where I got like a lot more like recognition and stuff.
So, you said like Zero was someone who helped you, like the TO, like ingratiate. Who are some other people in the scene that helped you, like bring yourself, be more comfortable around them and stuff like that?
Yeah, so I'll say like um there were some brawl players like at the brawl tournament who were pretty good about that. There's a guy named GDX. He's a Diddy Kong player from Florida. He was really good. I went to like the first Smash Fest I went to, he hosted it, and it was like a LAN area called Next Level LAN. And then for melee side, it was uh Zoro, who he was like the like probably the main CFL TO at the time. Um, I talked to Hungry Box a bit. He was like kind of hyping me up. Gatsu, I met him. Um, those are all kind of the people like within the first couple tournaments I got like closer to. Everybody was pretty nice though. I think a lot of people were interested in me because I was so young and already like pretty good from the get go. So I mean, everybody was really nice. Like I'm pretty lucky to have. I feel like the experiences I had at my first tournament, like I can't really say anything bad happened. Like everything was it went pretty good outside of me just being nervous, but that's just me. That was just me at the time.
Now, when you went to your first tournament, were you already in the mindset of, yo, I'm trying to be like competitive, I'm trying to take this to the next level? Or were
Yeah,
you
yeah.
like,
I
okay.
was always from frame one, I was always like, I want to like take this as far as I can. I want to like be the best and stuff because I never really had people to play against growing up. So like I feel like when you're just beating up on computers, it's just kind of when you're a little kid, you're just like, oh, I'm just so good at this game. I'll beat anybody. And the few times I would play like a family member or like a cousin or some kind of person who had some experience with the game, I would just always win. So I'm like, oh, I must be good at this game. So like I always felt like I could beat anybody, maybe not right away, but like I felt like I'm capable of beating anyone basically because this is the game I've been playing nonstop. This is a game I'm passionate about. I don't know. But yeah.
Um, did you start off as a Falcon main then? Because I heard you said Wave Shine, and I was like, oh,
Yeah, so my first match I played Falcon and Fox.
mm-hmm.
That was my first set. At the time I was kind of like a dual main. I think I didn't really decided which one I wanted to play more. I think I did want to play more Falcon, but I was bad at certain matchups with Falcon more so. So like I kind of went back and forth. Like I'd play Fox for like Spacies and I play Falcon for like a lot of other matchups. But I think after like a few or a couple tournaments, I eventually decided I want to go solo Falcon because that's like what I actually wanted because I thought that would be the coolest. But I did play both, and but yeah, in the beginning it was a dual main, and then eventually I decided on solo Falcon.
What made you gravitate towards Falcon specifically?
Um, I had a lot of good memories playing Falcon, like in recent years. I practiced Brawl 2 by myself at home, and I found out about like the Falcon Punch memes. And I played F-Zero, the best racing game, best racing franchise.
Yeah.
I learned to love the character and the game he comes from. So I started to like grow a true passion for the character in recent years. So, and I thought he was actually fun in Brawl. I looked at like combo videos, and I mean, he had some cool pseudo combos in Brawl for it being Brawl. At least there was some good combo video combos. And when I play him in Melee, it's just like all that, but like on steroids. So I'm like, wow, this is amazing. And so I had grown to have like a passion for Falcon in recent years. And I also enjoyed Fox a lot and his tech skill and how technical he was and all that. And but yeah, I think Falcon is becoming like one of my favorite video game characters, and I wanted to like solo main him more than dual maining, but I didn't really come into that until later. And I remember having like a talk with Gatsu about how like the way he was a Falcon main at the time, and he still is, but he was originally a Ganondorf, but he was maining Falcon, and he told me how like, because we kind of talked about it like, oh, do you want to main Fox or Falcon? I don't even think we really talked about dual maining. We just talked about like which one to main. And he basically said like Fox is better, but if you're a Falcon, you'll stand out more. You'll be like more memorable and stuff. Can't remember the exact words, but it was like you kind of stand out more because you're not playing like you're not just another Fox. You're like, oh, you're a Falcon, and if you're good with them, it stands out. And so I think inside I did want a solo Falcon. I thought it was a cooler thing, especially with my love for the character and stuff. So I eventually just settled on that, you know.
Was that something like a little bit important to you? Like not only just getting the results, but like standing out, making a name for yourself?
Yeah, I mean, I knew if I had good results, I would stand out. But it was more of just like the idea of being a really good Falcon was more appealing than being a really good Fox. So I think it just came down to that. And I had talked to other people about like characters I'd main, like Fox or Falcon. But yeah.
So when you were like, you know, starting to rise onto the ranks, you know, growing your play style, you already mentioned like Gatsu was like someone that was helping you out. Like, were there any other people like in your scene that were helping you develop your play style? Because you do have a pretty like set, unique play style, I think, with Falcon.
In the beginning, I feel like the first couple years I don't know if there was like something, there wasn't really anything particular. It was more just kind of like um I was just getting better and just doing what felt good, what felt right. But then eventually like I started, Hacks became my favorite Falcon. And so I kind of started modeling my play more towards his style. And his kind of philosophy was always like doing like the optimal decisions. So I started going down that kind of path. And then eventually he dropped Falcon. And then me and Gatsu, we already knew each other. And then Gravy moved to Florida, and we were like the three Falcons. And so we kind of just like really tried to like be as optimal as possible at Falcon, like figure things out. Us working together made things, you know, easier. And so him moving down to Florida, I think it was like 2014, that was like a good timing for everything. And you know, Falcon, I mean, Hacks kind of gave up on Falcon and like late 2013 or whatever. But I don't know, we didn't really want to give up, even though like the best player kind of was like, oh, this character's not good enough. It still felt like, as good as he was, and he was very impressive at the time, it still felt like there was some stuff left in the tank, and it wasn't something like I personally didn't want to give up on yet. And I'm sure Gatsu like felt like there was more to be developed, and it in Smash there's always like, it felt like there's a lot of potential in sticking to your character and just trying to push them as far as they can go, because even when you feel like I don't know how much farther this character can go, there's always kind of something around the corner, it feels like most of the time. I mean, even like 64, like Yoshi was always considered pretty good, which is character I main. But I kind of showed that like this character can go even farther. And I think lately, last couple of years, Karaba has been showing like this character can go even farther again, like taking it another step. So there's just a lot to be said for having faith in your character if you see the potential, and just trying to push it as far as you can and not giving up on your character.
That's interesting, because I would like to ask you about, you know, when Hacks did drop it, and he dropped Falcon very vocally, and, you know, lambasted the character with the LRA start memes and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Did that drive you? Did that annoy you? How did that affect you?
It didn't really annoy me, but it did put like maybe a little bit of like, maybe he has a point. He's like the expert here. Um, but I don't know. I think we just kept. I wasn't really worried too much. I did get like a phone call after Hex dropped him at some point. It was a phone call from Hungrybox. He just randomly called me one day and is like, "Hey man, you should really consider maining Fox. I don't want you to." I don't remember exactly what he said, but basically he's saying like, he saw the potential in me and he didn't want me to waste it, I guess, like with Falcon.
Really?
And so he called me, told me like you basically just switch to Fox. I don't know the exact words, but yeah, I said I'll think about it, but I don't know. We didn't want to give up on the character yet, and so I mean, obviously it paid off. I would say. I mean, we're not like the best players in the world right now, but like I've won a super major or two, and um, like at the very least, it's shown like you can take a character way farther than you or can originally think.
Yeah, that's actually really interesting. Was there any like a moment or like a tournament? Because you said since frame one, I wanted to be competitive. I wanted to take this thing as far as I could go. Was there ever like a tournament where it clicked and you realized like, yo, I can actually do this? Because a lot of people say that, but it takes like one breakout performance for them to believe.
I think for me, it was I never didn't believe. It was just more of like when I went to a tournament, I realized how good people are and how deep this game does go. Like maybe it was a bit deeper than I originally thought because I didn't have a good frame of reference just playing computers and random people who didn't really play the game. So I never didn't believe, but I think it was more of just, okay, this is harder than I originally thought. But I don't know. I've never doubted myself in Smash really. Not like that. So yeah, I don't think I even had needed to have that moment. I was just always confident from the get go.
Where do you think that you're a confident person outside of Smash and it just translated, or do you think it was just specific like, yo, I just feel this game?
I think it's just specifically Smash. I'm not, it's specifically just Smash and just all the time I put in and just there was just always a connection with the game. So yeah, it is definitely specifically to Smash, maybe to video games to a certain point, but especially to Smash, I just kind of always had it. I felt like, especially just, I'm sure some of it came from just like the hours I put in at home playing by myself too.
So can you describe like that connection to the game? Because it takes a lot to be grinding in your house without tournaments for 2 years before your first tournament. It takes a lot to play 64 and Melee through decades now. I mean, what's that connection like?
I think for me, it was just like a strong passion for the game. Like I've always said, it's my favorite game of all time, my favorite franchise of all time. So I think that helps a lot, just being so passionate about it that it makes you want to be good just because you love the game so much. I also think Smash, when I would play like a new game growing up, like, oh, I got this new game, I'm going to enjoy that for a month. I would go back to Smash like a month later, and Smash just like, it just has a very addictive nature to it. And it's a game that never really gets old. Like you might get tired of it for a little bit, but you just take a break and you come back and it just feels amazing again. The developers just created such a addicting kind of game, I feel like, and just a very satisfying game. There's not many games that are as satisfying as Smash.
I'd like to ask you, because you talk about, breaks, and I'm sure you have to take breaks throughout all these years of grinding. I mean, when do you know that it's time to step away from the game, and how long do those breaks usually, like, what does that entail for you?
I honestly, I'm still kind of trying to figure that out because I feel like I never really get tired of the game. I never really get burnt out. It's more of just the urge to play a different game becomes stronger. Like I'm sure for some people, like the Street Fighter 6 came out, so like they might not be tired of playing Melee, but like, oh, there's this new appealing game, so they're gonna spend time on that. So for me, it's that kind of thing of like, it's just other games are tempting, but I'm never like tired of Smash. Like, oh, I can't take another hour of this. I never get tired of the game. It's just the game might become a little bit less fun because I've just been grinding it so hard. but it is kind of hard to say. Like maybe it is kind of personal from person to person
Hmm.
at the end of the day, but for me, it's I don't really know because I kind of always end up taking breaks even if I'm not in the mood to take one. So I never even reach that point where I'm like, man, I need to take a break. I kind of take breaks ahead of time before I even want to take a break. So like yeah, I don't know. I also feel like playing other video games kind of I call it like reverse burning out, where it kind of like speeds up the process of like getting invigorated for your main game again. Like, um, because kind of like the more you play a game, the easier it is to get tired of it. But if you play like a radically different game, like let's say you play like a shooting game for like 5 days straight, by the time you came back to your main game, that 5 day break or whatever is going to feel amazing. Because not only were you not playing the game, your main game for 5 days, but you're also playing a different game, which kind of like speeds up the reverse burnout even faster.
So what would be some of the games that you gravitate towards on those breaks then?
For me, like it's different all the time. I do like FPSs, even though I don't get to play them that much. I like Overwatch. I like Valorant. I like a lot of single player games. Like, what did I play through recently? I was playing the new Zelda for like so long that gave me a huge smash break. Um, so any like new single player game I enjoy. I think I might play Dark Souls at some point soon. That'll be another break. Doing the reverse burnout strat, and then um, what else? I mean, just I would say any new single player game, any game playthrough, because I like to play through a whole game when I start a game. I don't like starting and stopping and starting and stopping. And then trying to think what else. Yeah, I mean all kinds of games. I play all kinds of games. So
Yeah, that's interesting. Um, was there any like a moment or a point, because Melee has been through so much, so many dark times, so many great times. Was there ever a
yeah.
moment where you're like, man, I don't know if this is, I think maybe I gotta go do something else?
Honestly, I've never had that, but I will say it is lately a bit more depressing seeing like how every time we get an opportunity, it gets kind of squandered, or maybe the opportunity wasn't as good as we thought. Like right now, esports in general is on kind of a downturn, right?
Hmm.
And that affects Smash, and I feel like it also affects Smash from the standpoint of Smash is already kind of one of like the lesser valued esports. So if esports as a whole is being lesser valued, then that affects Smash even more in that way. And so it is kind of rough seeing that. I don't think it's like the end or anything. I'm just saying like um it is kind of rough seeing like that kind of thing. So I'm hoping, I mean I think there will be a turnaround, but I do hope we can get a break, like it
Yeah.
feels like, every few years it's just like, oh man, we got jammed. Um
It's crazy how unlucky our game is. I feel like we've just really had a bad run of things. I mean, no
yeah,
thanks
I
to
mean,
developers,
and
but
yeah, I mean, and there's times where like we kind of do get a break, but like it just doesn't turn out as well as we hope, or someone does something and it just didn't turn out well, or
mhm.
there's kind of always a reason. And but yeah, that's I would say recently, like it's been kind of tough to see the things that have been happening. I haven't given up, and I'm not going to give up, but it is, it is a little frustrating at times seeing that. But yeah, I think we just got to keep going, and you know, I don't know,
Well,
we just gotta,
that'll lead
you
me
know.
to another question then, which is, what do you think the scene can do better in order to, promote longevity, or solidify us? Is there anything better that we can do, or do you think just tournaments and content and what people are
Yeah.
doing now is the only thing that we can do?
Um. Honestly, I'm probably not the best person to ask, but for me, I feel like people do have to be serious about content more. That is one thing. Um. It's kind of a little different for everyone because you know, it's, I mean, everybody needs to do content, but some people do better with less than others, and other people need it more than others. I feel like like some people succeed more with it than others. Some people don't succeed as much with it. Um, but I think, I don't know. It does feel like we do kind of need something to happen with dev support maybe at some point. Like if there's a new Smash game, I feel like that could be a big thing for our scene. But honestly, it is hard. Like it just, trying to think.
Well, I can lead to another question then, which would be,
Yeah.
you know, from your side of the things, and like, do you enjoy making that content? Does it frustrate you that you have to like focus some time on content instead of the game or your hobbies?
Yeah, I think I would like it more if there was more viable paths with like not going as hard on content, because I prefer the more just like competitive side and focusing on that, and that's what other esports can do more so. I mean, I think everybody benefits from doing content regardless of what game, but some games it's like Smash, it's become basically like a necessity, and other games it's not as much of a necessity. But I kind of blanked out. Like, can you repeat your question?
Does it frustrate you a little bit? I think you answered it well. It's a little bit frustrating, right?
It is. Yeah, it is a little bit frustrating. And it is hard too, because it's like the harder you go at content, like it's just about a balance, I guess. But I'm still kind of trying to step into my own with a mixture of content and competing, but it's just hard. Like let's say someone who goes really hard at the content does a really good job of it, like Hungrybox. He also does a good job being a competitor, but it does feel like he, in the past couple of years, he's leaned a bit more towards the content side, which I mean, obviously he's still like top whatever in Melee, and he's doing better. Like he's doing an amazing job of balancing it, but that's kind of like the peak end of things. And so yeah, it's hard. But I guess I don't really have the answers. I have some ideas of what we can do, but I don't know. I feel like we need to do better with the opportunities we're given, and just, I don't know. Maybe I feel like we just need to do better with the opportunities we're given and do a better job of searching out more opportunities. But like I know certain sponsorships are really powerful for the scene, but then something goes wrong at this end of the scene, and then we kind of lose it, and then yeah, I don't really have the answers, but that's kind of what I would say, what I feel like we need to get better at.
Mm-hmm. When you brought up a good point about Hungrybox and how he had to like solidify more on the content side, and how it could I mean, I'm not in the mind of Hungrybox, I don't know him, but it has to affect your competitive side. And I know that he's a competitive person. I mean, you don't pop off like that without, So like, I can definitely see how that can be frustrating. My question would be then, does it put more pressure on you when Smash maybe is on a little bit of a downturn to like perform better? And does that take away from your enjoyment of the tournaments themselves?
I mean, honestly, when I'm at tournaments, I feel like before the tournament I might worry about it, but when I'm there, it's usually more present. I'm usually more present, but I think for me it's just been harder because I had a pretty rough year last year because I lost my team. My health went downhill, so I kind of got this like combination of bad things that if I only had one of them happen, yeah, it would have sucked, but maybe I could more easily get through it. But for me, I've just had kind of like I got like wombo comboed in real life, and so that kind of just that's been the hardest part for me. And so with Smash doing worse and with all that stuff compounding, it's definitely gotten harder, I would say. But in terms of pressure, I mean, I guess so, but I think I've done a good job of not like overly worrying about it when I'm at the tournament, I guess is what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm. I would love to get into a little bit about you getting wombo comboed. I mean, I don't want to talk about specifics or anything. What's yours?
Talk. It's it's fine if you want to ask, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, really, what I want to know is like, what's your mentality through those dark patches when it rains, it pours, and someone who's been solidified in the scene so long, it must be tough to go through those ups and downs. How do you mentally prepare and go through those times?
Um, so for me, like, I don't know. I mean, it was pretty hard, but I'm always kind of, I guess I've just always kind of been in the mindset of like being good at not giving up. So I've just kind of carried that with me. And I don't know, like it's also like I've spent so much time and I put in so much effort, like I can't give up now, you know? Like
Yeah.
I've put so much into this, like I've always kind of had a mindset of like never giving up and just pushing myself. And I mean I've always had that for a long time, and just I guess that's helped me, but also um yeah, I mean last year was a really rough year for me, and it's still rough right now, but it's gotten better. And so I think I don't know, I guess I just kind of have the right mindset, to be honest with you. Like I'm just not one of those people who gives up
Hmm.
easily. So I don't know, it'd take a lot to like really make me want to throw in the towel. So I mean, it was rough, don't get me wrong, and I've been sad at times and stuff with all the stuff I've dealt with, but um I don't know, I haven't given up. So that's just kind of my mindset personally.
Do you think that's a mindset that you were just born with, that's innate, or do you think that's something that you trained over the years, maybe
I
even
I think
indirectly?
I think I kind of learned it somewhere, and then I've kind of cultivated it throughout the years. So it's definitely something I learned. Like I was never even really a strong-minded person growing up. I was pretty weak-minded, I would say. But with I've just always my passion for the game kind of protects me from things almost. Like I'm willing to go through so much stuff because I'm just so passionate about the game. I'll just deal with all these obstacles because I just love the game so much. And I guess that is kind of like the root some of the roots of it is just I'm so passionate about the game. I've been willing to like deal with so much, and um I knew I'd have to become a stronger person to like be good at the game. So that's something I've kind of cultivated throughout the years. So still working on things right now. I'm still working on my health. I'm still working on getting better. And yeah, I would say I kind of learned it and cultivated it. I wasn't born with it.
Yeah. As someone who's struggled with some chronic health issues, man, I definitely feel you. Like, it's so much, and life doesn't stop. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. It
It's
doesn't stop. You don't really like get a break, you know,
Yeah.
you just gotta keep going.
Well, I really respect that, man, and I think the scene respects
Thank,
you for it. Um,
thank you.
One thing I would love to touch on though was the fact that you talk about how you cultivated that strong mindset. Is that something that you've been able to put into stuff outside of melee as well? Has like that melee mindset of never giving up and that passion and that love, has that been able to translate to other things in life that's helped you?
Um, I think so. I think for me in the other aspects of life, I'm not as kind of laser focused on them as at times as I am on Smash. So Smash is like one of the things I'm best at, but no, yeah, I would say so. I'd say my mindset's good in regards to that. It's more of just other issues that I have to work on, I guess. But in terms of my mindset, I think it has helped to some degree outside of Smash. Yeah.
What are some things that, outside of Smash that you think help you? Whether it be if you're stressed or something like that. What's some things that you can take a step back in, whether it be music or movies or
Uh,
sports? I don't know.
um, I feel like that's something I've been thinking about a bit more lately, like what I could work on to kind of help me maintain homeostasis or whatever.
Hmm.
Like things to, I think music's a big one. I think that's one I've been underrating for the last few years. That like sometimes like you're not necessarily depressed, but you're not in the greatest mood. But when you turn on some music you enjoy, like it's kind of easy as long as like it's easy. Just turn on some music and I can boost your mood. I think that's very powerful. Um, what else?
What type of music? I mean, I'd love to touch on that. What's your go-to music
Um,
when you're in your different type of moods?
um, I don't really have like my stuff's all over the place. A lot of my stuff I listen to is like video game music, like songs from different games I've enjoyed.
Hmm.
Um, it changes all the time. Songs with like a strong melody, I guess.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
Do you have a favorite album, like your go-to album or something?
That's the hard thing about music is it's always changing. Like
Yeah.
people, like you might have like an album that like you historically is your favorite, but it's like it kind of changes from month to month a little bit. Like if there's a new song that comes out that I like, okay, well that's my favorite,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
So that changes a lot. Like trying to think like after Zelda Tears of the Kingdom game came out, I was listening to like songs from that game like all the time.
Hmm.
Even like the trailer music. And that was my favorite during that time, but I don't know if I would say it's my favorite right now, even though it's one of my favorites. But
Yeah.
um,
I feel like people like there's like a meme where it's like, oh, video game music or da 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 da. It's like, dude, they make some bangers, dude. I don't know what
yeah,
you're talking about.
yeah, like at school, you know, kids would talk about like their favorite bands and stuff. And for me, like, I don't know, I guess I got into music. Maybe I didn't get into music late, but the only music that I genuinely enjoyed was never from like an artist or a band. It was always from like a game.
Hmm.
And I feel like the appreciation for video game music's gotten a lot better now. But like regardless, video game music's a lot of songs have always been amazing. It's just kind of because they're from a video game, people don't really they didn't really respect it because
Hmm.
not from like an artist who's dedicated to music, like, you know, in that sense. And yeah.
Have you thought about like, do you make music? Do you make any type of art on the side?
Um I used to play piano for years, but I haven't
Mm,
played in so long. I'm so rusty now. But I do actually enjoy music a lot. I'm so preoccupied that that's not really something I can work too much on, I feel like. But maybe
hmm.
in the future, if I can free up some time, I would like to get back into piano. I would like to maybe try to make my own songs of some sort. Because I
Hmm.
think, especially in the last few years, I've realized like I've always been passionate about music, but I never put it like at the top of my list of what I'm passionate about, but I think like after video games, that might actually be like the next thing for me. So yeah, I think maybe in the future I would like to work more on music, but it's hard right now because I just have so many things. I have games I'm playing, I've stream, I've content, competing. So it's hard for me to like, you know, at least put in a lot of time on it, you know.
Yeah, dude, I totally understand that, and that would be awesome. Hey, whenever you drop, man, I'm listening. Trust me.
Yeah, thanks.
uh, pivoting a little bit. So you're talking about like doing content and stuff. You do a stream. You can pay to play Wizzrobe a lot of the times on the stream. So shout out twitch.tv
Yeah,
slash Wizzrobe, right?
yeah,
And
yeah,
you
that's right.
you got a Metafy as well where you can get coaching.
Yeah, I do.
um, what like do you think that you, especially in terms of coaching, do you enjoy that coaching? Do you learn from that coaching as well? Is that something that you're very like excited about?
To be honest, when I started it, I wasn't that excited really. I just kind of did it because like people have been asking me, and eventually I reached a point where I'm like, all right, you know, I'll do it. And but I think I actually do enjoy it. It does if it does feel really good to coach people and share your knowledge, and it is kind of a thing where sometimes it's hard for me to talk about lower level concepts because they're just so automatic that I don't really think about it. And when I coach people, I have to think about like, oh yeah, that's why I do that. I just always do it. I don't even know why. So I think there is something to be said for like it helping you kind of become a better player, or at least like help remind you of concepts you might not have thought of as hard in so long, because you're always thinking of like these really high level concepts. You're not thinking of like the lower level stuff and like why they're good in the first place. And I think one, it helps you become better at coaching, but it does kind of help you um, look at the whole picture better. So I think yes, I enjoy it, and it does help me. So I've been enjoying it more than I expected, to be honest.
That's awesome. Um, do you find that like players that you coach fall into some of the same traps or some of the same problems or
Yeah.
mistakes?
I've actually just started doing this thing now where I just like we usually play a match or two first, but I just like I kind of just ask them a question off the bat just to see if they know it, because there's a lot of things like low and mid level players and even some high level players where they're good at all these different things, but then there's like one or two things that they just have no idea about, and if they knew that, it would kind of bring everything together, you
Mm.
know? Like yeah, I'm trying to think of an example, but basically, like one example I use a lot with my students is, they're good at this part. They're good at their punish. They know about dash dancing and L canceling and neutral and all these things,
Mhm.
but they didn't know. They don't know why they're always missing their techs, and it's because there's a 40 frame lockout window, and they're like, okay, I think I've heard of that, but they've heard of it vaguely, but they don't know the specifics. And once I tell them that, now they're understanding why they're always missing their techs, even though they're pressing the button. They're understanding what tech traps are. Like this really brings everything together. And some people, it's like their control scheme, like, they feel like their control scheme's good, but I'm like, okay, well, if you press this button at this time instead, it would come together better,
Mhm.
basically. And so that's actually been one of the biggest things I feel like helps newer players. Is just like kind of checking their knowledge in certain areas and making sure they have all these basic things down that aren't talked about enough. Like people don't talk about the tech lockout window enough, in my opinion, and that's where tech traps come from.
Yeah.
But most people have down the super basic stuff like L canceling, dash dance, short hop, fast fall, aerial, blah blah blah. So yeah,
Um, that's interesting because yeah, tech traps. Hungrybox made a living off of foxes doing tech traps on platforms. So
yeah,
it's
yeah,
funny that that's still like a problem. Like, do you
yeah.
think that players at like, for example, I'm like a 2-2 player, right? Do you think that
Uh-huh.
players at our level aren't finding the right balance between knowledge of the game and actually playing the game? Like they're just maybe playing too much and not really like studying.
Maybe. I mean, I think everybody isn't studying enough, to be honest. Maybe like
Mm,
some super top players, but outside of like super top players, I feel like 99% of players don't study enough. I think I think especially having a coach like in the earlier days is just so powerful because you're at like a mid level or whatever. It's like it's so easy to just point out stuff like, okay, you could work on this, you could work on this, you could work on this, and sometimes you're just when you're practicing, especially at the lower levels, it's like you are getting better, but there's just certain concepts you're like not working on at all, and if someone just pointed that out, like, oh, you haven't been doing this the whole time, and that one thing could just make a huge difference. So I think studying specifically like with somebody who could help you is like probably the fastest way to improve.
that's interesting that you say that because I remember like a sort of back in the day, like around the like that esports era where people were like getting sponsored by everyone and
Yeah.
there was like sponsored coaches for top players. We had like
Yeah.
Bobby Frizz,
Yep.
Crunch, like
Yeah.
that obviously probably disappeared when the money started to go. But
Yeah.
like it's surprising to think that a lot of top players still don't have like someone on the side like that's their coach. Is that something that
Yeah.
you have or is that something that you've just learned to coach yourself?
uh Well, I do things on my own, but I think everybody could benefit from a second pair of eyes who the person understands the game and all that. I think because everyone has a different perspective, no matter how good you are. They could at least offer a different like, hey, you do this here, but maybe this could work too. That's always valuable. But yeah, I do kind of have like a couple of people who coach me. I'd say the main one's like Chef Rockman. He helps me a lot. Um,
The legend.
yeah, I
Yeah.
have other people who help me. I've had a guy named Man Ray. I've had a guy named Gosu. I've had plenty of people help me. I used to get lessons from Drugged Fox.
Hmm.
I might get them again at some point, but um, so yeah, I think I think it's very powerful. I think everyone should be like getting some kind of coach. To be honest,
Now, we were talking about like studying, like players aren't studying enough. Can you
yeah.
break down just in simple terms what do you mean by studying the game?
So looking at your own matches, especially the ones where you lose, and figuring out why you lost and what you can do better for next time. That's the main thing. There's other things too, like watching other players of your character. Like, so for me, I would study like S2J and Nun and Saul, and I can study them and like see, okay, they're doing this here. Okay, that could be good. Oh, I didn't think of this. That's interesting. Maybe I'll try that next time. So I would say those are like some of the main things. But I would say the number one thing is looking at your own matches and figuring out what you're doing wrong, like why you lost. It's because, I mean, unless you're literally winning every match, you're the best player in the world, you're going to be, I mean, even if you are the best player, you're going to be losing matches eventually. So looking at the matches where you lost and figuring out why you lost and how you can win next time, what you can do better, that's the best way to improve, I feel like.
Yeah, and I think that's something that is so important in this game. It makes
Yeah.
you level up so much quicker. That's
Yeah.
going to lead us to a special part of the show called the Michigan Connection question, where I
Okay.
ask a homie from Michigan who looks up
Is
to
that
you.
where you're at?
Yeah, I'm a Michigan player.
Okay.
Yeah. Shout out Big House, come out through, hopefully. Where I ask, like, you know, for example, this time I'm asking Helm, our local Falcon player who's been leveling up big time, and he wanted to ask you a specific question, which I knew we said not to do that much matchup stuff, so this is gonna be the only matchup question that I ask.
Okay, sure.
He said, "Can you ask Wizzrobe how he deals with super grounded foxes that run under Falcon Nair and react to aerials with shield?" So a specific question from Helm.
Well, okay, so I would say I would do like empty hops to bait it, because if they're reacting to like your jump aerial, sometimes you could just jump and not aerial, but they're more reacting to the jump than the aerial, I would say. So you can like empty hop and use that as like a bait. That's one thing. And then also just I mean, using less nair in general, if that's what they're punishing. I feel like you're probably nearing in predictable ways, so you gotta like lessen the amount you're doing it and maybe use other aerials, but also just like I said, the empty short hops and maybe like more dash dance to pressure them. I think you just got to do different options mainly.
And that's going to lead me to, I think, a less specific question, but I think even more important, which is when you have a question like that, like a very specific question, what is your ways of breaking that down? Do you like jump on Uncle Punch? Do you go on VOD review and try to find what other players are doing? What's your way to break it down?
You mean like how did I answer his question, basically?
Yeah, so let's say you had a question similar to that, but you didn't have Wizzrobe to ask, right? You just have yourself. What would you do to find the answer to that question?
I think the first thing I would do is ask somebody who I think might know. Because I try to like I'm thinking more of Ultimate right now, because I don't have as many resources in that game in terms of like people and stuff as they do the other games. So if I had like a specific question, like how do I deal with this situation, I think I would try to talk to like an Ultimate person who I think might have an answer. You could lab it yourself. It's just I try to go to somebody first, because if it's like a simple answer, it's less work to just ask somebody like, hey, you're a good Falcon player in Melee, like I deal with the situation, like what do you do? And then if you feel like their answer is good enough and it's working, that's probably good. If you feel like the whole question's not really answered, then it's always nice to lab something if you're willing to do it and you have the time. I think the other thing I've been realizing is if you lab a question yourself and you put in the work of labbing it like an Uncle Punch, because you put in all that effort and all that like manual effort to work on it, it's kind of more memorable, you know? Like, okay, you set up the save state, you set up the Fox to up tilt in a certain way, and you put in that amount of time to work on it, it becomes really memorable. It's kind of like how when you take notes, like when somebody gives you a piece of advice, you're more likely to remember it if you write it down than if they just tell it to you and you just try and mentally tell yourself like, okay, hopefully I remember that, you know? Like when you put the advice into a more actionable form, like taking notes and writing it down or typing it, that's going to be more memorable than just someone quickly saying it to you and you kind of just forget about it soon after most of the time.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Writing it down, just it's like class, right? You got to write it down, take your notes.
Yeah, it kind of is like class at times. Oh, I think that's the other reason people won't study a lot is because that's more of the boring side, I would say,
Mhm.
of getting better in any game, but also Smash is, people would rather just load up the game, fight somebody, press the buttons, than load up a VOD, get their notes out, pay close attention, pause, go back. Like that's not as enjoyable as like just playing the game.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So
Moving on a little bit. So you're known for playing a bunch of games at high level, right? 64,
yeah.
Melee. You play Ultimate as well. Can you
hmm
give me something that you like specifically about each game, each Smash game, and something that you dislike from each Smash game that you
So
play
like,
competitively?
so it like the game itself, or more of like playing all of them that's annoying, or like
The game, it's like what differentiates those games
okay.
and what do you like, what do you dislike, basically?
Um, I'll say what I like is just I love Smash in general. I just love the whole franchise. I love the differences of each game. I feel like with a lot of people, they see it as like, oh, this game does this different from my main game, and I don't like it as much, so it's annoying. But for me, I see it as like, oh, this game does it different from my main game. Okay, that adds like a new dynamic and like something new to like. I like the variety. I think the variety is fun. Some people see the variety as like an annoyance because they have to learn something new. I like the variety. I think it's fun. Um, Something that's annoying with each game. 64. Honestly, I don't even know. I'm trying to think what's annoying. I can't really. There's nothing that really bothers me about 64. I
Mm-hmm.
guess. Trying to think because I've already thought of two for the other two, or for Melee and Ultimate, but for 64, there can't really think of anything. I mean, I guess I wish the game was bigger, but that's not really a problem with the game. That's more like with the just the world.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but yeah, there's not really a problem with 64 that I can trying to think. There's not really like something that really bothers me.
Mm-hmm.
I would say with Melee, by far the most annoying thing is just the whole controller stuff. It's so annoying. You go into my
I know.
stream, I complain all the time. Um, and
I feel you.
sometimes people will make fun of you for complaining, but it's like, hey, if you watch me stream Ultimate or 64, I almost never complain about my controller. Like maybe once in a blue moon, once in a while, a really unlucky day, I'll like, oh man, my controller didn't do that or whatever. But
Yeah.
Melee, it's like almost every stream, there's like something controller, and it's just it's it's so frustrating because it's crazy because Melee's enjoyment goes up like 3 times when you have a good controller. It's like
Yeah.
actually insane. It's like really weird. So for Melee, it's the controller stuff for sure. Um, and then for Ultimate, the one complaint I've always had about Ultimate is just the input delay.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that it's like offline 6, 7, like 6-ish frames of delay offline. I think that's really ridiculous. That's kind of a problem with like every new console generation so far. I don't know about like maybe PS5 and stuff has gotten better because they have higher frame rates, but every Nintendo console, it's like there's more delay. The Wii has more delay than the Wii. Pretty sure the Switch has a little bit more delay than the Wii U, like input delay wise. And I think that's by far the most annoying thing about Ultimate. That's why my biggest wish for the next Nintendo console is they'll find a way to like have lowered input delay. I think a higher frame rate would help with that. So that's what my hope for the next console. I don't know if they'll do it, but yeah, just the input delay. Because I think higher input delay makes the game more reactive, but less reactive by nature. And I like playing more reactive, and I think reactiveness makes games more consistent too. Generally, but yeah, it's just playing with input delay is not fun in general. So
Yeah.
yeah,
It's super annoying. And I can feel you on the controller issues, man. I am on my
yeah,
backup, and I just broke that
yeah.
stick box and I am like tilted. So I get it. And I
It's
bet
pretty
it's
chill.
10 times
It
worse for you because this is your
it
job.
it makes the game like when you play a game competitively, you have to practice the game to stay good and get better.
Yeah.
But with Melee, it's like there's practicing to get good and get better, but then there's like this entire other half of the pie equation where it's like making sure your controller is working. Like it's like half the game is just getting a working controller.
Do you have a working controller now? And if so, what type of controller is it?
Right now, my controller, ironically, is actually working better, and it's worked in a long time. So I'm doing better than usual right now. But it's a fob, and I've had this fob for a while. But the problem before was I had settings that I thought were good, but they weren't as good as I thought. And after messing with it for a while, I have new settings that I love. They're way better than they were. And it's funny because I had those worsened settings on my fob when even though I was doing good at melee tournaments despite it. So like I'm excited to play like with better controls.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
always see Amsa on Twitter like tweeting out his fob settings that he's messing with, and it just like, oh my god, I don't want to deal with that, but I respect it. You know,
I know.
it's so much though. I wish it
really
was because we have everything is so like it's so perfect almost plug and play with Slippy and just like and it's just the controller.
And it's crazy because melee is like the game where people are like the most technically savvy, I would say, and we're still having trouble with stuff. So it's just like frustrating how much work you have to put in just to like get everything to work as they should.
Yeah. I mean, have you ever thought about like going to like maybe a box or something like that? Something that might be more
I mean people have brought it up, but I just really don't want to because I like playing on a GameCube controller. I've been playing on it for like 10 years. I just really don't want to, and I don't like that. Like I really don't want to, and also like I still think there might be some like the box is broken in some ways, but there's still like things I like about the GameCube controller that you don't get on box. So there are a couple trade-offs, even though the box has some like clear buffs. So I don't see it as like a strictly improvement thing. It is an improvement thing from the controller perspective, but there's things that would be more annoying that I might miss out on. But I just really don't want to, and I think it would be ridiculous if we got to a point where you would have to use a box to like compete.
Yeah.
Like I would not want that. I don't think a completely different controller should be better than the controller the game was originally meant to be played on.
Yeah. I won't get into too much of the controller stuff because I feel like that discourse has ran its course for the last goddamn 5 years. So
yeah.
But switching it up then, what is something that you think sets your Falcon apart from the other top Falcons? And what do you think is something that you want to improve or work on that other Falcons are showing or capable of doing?
I think trying to think. I feel like with the other Falcons, they're always getting better and they're always finding ways to improve their game, but I feel like I still focus harder on like the optimal aspect, like doing what is optimal as much as possible for compared to most Falcons. I would say there's like a new wave of Falcons getting good now who are like good at coming up with new stuff, and I feel like I'm getting better about like staying up to date on like new tech, but I feel like they're like this new wave in particular, they're really good at like for example, there's like this new tech where someone found a really fast way to shield drop fast fall, because you know first you got to input the shield drop, then you got to input the fast fall, and the movement is kind of similar, so it's kind of awkward. And this guy found like a specific way to do it. I don't know if it's going to be viable long term in terms of doing it in a high intensity match or whatever, but it could be. And so I think this is more in terms of like the new wave Falcons, not really like the S2J nuns, but in terms of the new wave Falcons, they're really good at coming up with these the new ideas and implementing them really fast. And I want to be better about implementing them just as fast as them.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, what was the other part of your question?
No, you answered it. You answered both questions.
Okay.
Who are some of those new wave Falcons that you're looking at in terms of implementation?
So Chef Rockman, I mean, I don't know if he comes up with a lot of stuff. So that's one. There's like a bunch of people coming up with stuff. There's like a person named Pedlar.
Yeah.
There's a Falcon named Jojo.
Yeah. Shout out in New York City, I believe.
Yeah. And then there's like a few of them, but those are like some of the main ones I think of, and they're really good at coming up with like new stuff. So I think that's something I want to be better about, is staying up to date on the new stuff. Cause sometimes it's not always something that's like super good or not super relevant, but it's good to at least like keep tabs on it and be like, okay, this new technique ends up being better than I thought it was, or okay, this new technique, it was cool, but it's not as useful as I thought it was. So I'll just leave that on the side for now.
How do you determine whether a new technique is going to be something that you want to implement in the first place? Because there's so much stuff that you can do in
Yeah.
Melee.
I think I'm just at a level where I'm good enough at the game that I can kind of quickly tell if something's going to be like meta relevant or not. So it's kind of just like my skill level is able to let me determine it extra fast. If I wasn't as good as I was, maybe I wouldn't be as good at determining it. So I think my skill level helps me a lot to determine, like, I just look at something, I'm like, okay, I could see how that would be useful, or I'd be like, okay, that's cool, but I don't think it's going to be useful. So one, my own discretion, and two, let's say I don't think something's that good. If some said player keeps working on something and they are making use out of it and kind of proving me wrong, then it'll be like, okay, I'll rethink about this and maybe I will implement it after all.
Yeah. So pivoting a little bit, I know that you like to take your time a little bit in between games. Are you thinking about specific things like, okay, I lost because of XYZ, I need to do XYZ? Are you trying to like calm down your nerves? Is it more a nerve thing? Is it trying to get into their head? Maybe like, hey, you know what, you're a little hot that game, I'm gonna let you simmer down. Like what's the thought process behind that?
I think all those can play factors. I think for me, usually it's just like catching my breath. I feel like my adrenaline goes so high during matches that I literally need like physiologically, I like need like more time to breathe and stuff. And like I don't know, I think maybe I just get worked up more than most people. So like not always being nervous, just like my heart rate just goes really fast, and I just need time to breathe and just like take a moment. And I think that's probably the main thing. And then I think it also does help to kind of like, when you do take time, it does kind of help reset the momentum a bit more. And I think that's important too. So yeah.
I would love to ask you, you're talking about how just physiologically, like your heart rate just gets really high. It's something that I deal with too. I measured my heart rate after a set. It was 180 beats per minute.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I know. I used to be a D1 athlete, and when I was running, it wouldn't be that high, right?
What?
Yeah, so it's like nerves are just, the adrenaline's going through the roof when I'm playing.
Yeah.
What are some of the things physically that you do in order to try to keep those adrenaline rushes down? Because I know there's people who like do weed or drink or take deep breaths, right?
Yeah, so deep breaths is a big thing. I think it's really big. I think one, it helps calm you down, but two, I also think it helps give you like kind of like a mini mental reset sometimes. I think it's really important, honestly. And just kind of regulating your breathing, like having evenly timed breath, like in between games. And just, I think the deep breaths are really important. I think that's probably one of the main things you can do. Trying to think.
Is there stuff that you do in the middle of a game, like in between stocks, deep breaths? Or are you like doing a mantra in your head, like calm down?
That's more of the mid-game, mid-set thing, is the deep breathing. I would say that's like the main thing, like in the middle of a set. And just, I would say that's the main one. Trying to think of what else. Yeah.
For sure. Do you think like physical exercise outside the game helps you inside the game?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I do a lot of preparation outside of the game, and I think that does help in game. Like I think exercise, I think it does help. I don't know to what extent, but there's like, you said you were like a D1 athlete or whatever. Like if you, I presume that if you exercise outside a lot of the game, like in normal life, then your heart rate in tournament should be a little bit better. I'm pretty sure. So that can help in that sense. I would say I think diet helps a lot in terms of like helping you be less nervous. Like usually, I think in general, like eating crappy food at a tournament is one of the worst things you can do. It like you're more sluggish, you're more lethargic, your reaction time can go down. Um, you're less mentally sharp. So I think eating healthy like before a tournament is actually way more important than people give it credit. Um, and then I also think like in terms of like tournament nerves, like I think not overdoing it on the caffeine is really important because I think caffeine's kind of overrated for tournaments sometimes. It kind of depends on the person. It's a very personal thing. But for me, at least, I feel like I have so much adrenaline and stuff going through me during the tournament that I really don't need much caffeine. Um, but I think this is one of those things that people don't really think about when they're in tournaments. They don't think about these outside factors. So they end up playing worse than they should have because of factors like this.
Do you like for meals? Because dude, it's so annoying when you get to a major or something. The only thing they're
Yeah.
serving is like a pizza and a hot dog.
It's
Do you
tough, yeah.
do you like meal prep before a tournament or?
I do meal prep now.
Okay.
I used to not. So my strategy before was to try to find the best local, healthier places I could find, but
Mhm.
sometimes that can be really annoying, and depending on the location, can be really hard. So now I try to do more of bringing my own food. Try and bring certain snacks. Try to. I even do some grocery shopping sometimes, where I'll go and I'll get something that I don't have to like cook. Sometimes I've even gotten kitchens at tournaments. That's how far I take
Wow.
it.
Wow.
Yeah.
I
I think
think
yeah.
a thing that I think JMOOC has brought onto the scene more too is like meditation and how that helps
Yeah.
the athlete. Like, is that something that you've implemented as well, or?
Yeah, I have. I think for me, I don't do it enough. Like
Mhm.
I always kind of like I feel like I don't do it enough, but I think it is really important because you can kind of calm yourself before the match starts. And so you're not just like starting the match and just getting this rush. You kind of like it helps you get a more controlled like adrenaline rush, I feel like. I remember the first time I beat Mewtwo King was at like I think it was Smash Yahoo Invitational or something. This
Yeah.
was like years ago.
Mhm.
And I did like a very formal meditation for like 10 minutes before my set. And then when I went to play, it was like the most like present, composed I ever was, and I won the set the first time I beat him. So I think it is really underrated, honestly. It's usually just kind of hard to find a place to meditate at a tournament. But yeah, I think that's something that I definitely use, I know about, but I don't use it enough personally. So I think that's like JMOOC is like a good reminder of like, okay, you should be doing this more. This is useful. Like, don't count it out. You know.
Yeah. Um, I did this podcast for a multitude of reasons. I mean, I enjoy doing it, but the main reason why is because I feel like, especially in the age of social media, um, players are perceived as one thing, even though they are another thing. Do you
Uh
feel
huh.
like you have these perceptions around you that may not um, are like, or they may not represent who you actually are? I mean, I know, like, for example, I was talking to Swift, and Swift, he's a box player, so everything's
Yeah.
about the
Yeah.
box. Like, is there something like
Yeah.
that for you?
Yeah. I mean, probably, but in terms of what specifically, I'm not too sure.
Hmm.
I feel like a lot of people just don't have much information on me. So like I'll miss a few tournaments and they'll be like, oh, he doesn't go to any tournaments, but they don't know that I'm dealing with like insane health issues. I think there's just like a lot of like bad information.
Mm.
Like not really like about me, but just like bad information about like why they think I do certain things. Like most of the time when I take long before a set to get ready, it's because either the stream audio is not working right, so it's sometimes their fault, but I'm not going to start a set until my headset's ready. Or two, it is just me getting my headset ready. Um, and it's also one of those things where even though I've gotten better about it, about being faster and stuff, once in a blue moon or like once in a while during a tournament, there will be one set in particular where I take extra long, even though I'm doing everything I can. And because I have the stigma of like, oh, this guy takes long, the
Hmm.
one time gets like singled out because I have that like reputation already. It's like, let's say, I mean, I've had it happen. Like a player that's not known for taking long to get ready takes long to get ready, but it was a one-time thing. So it's kind of an anomaly. So they just kind of ignore it. But even though it's becoming more of an anomaly with myself because I already have that reputation. It gets singled out extra hard.
Is that something that you resent? I mean, it must be like, how do you deal with that social media pressure? I mean, you're known as Wizzrobe. You're not like, it's not like
Yeah.
Justin, right? It's like
Yeah.
you're something that you are not. You know what I mean? How do you deal with all the noise from people who don't know you?
I mean, I don't really see a lot posted about me because I just, I don't know. I mean, there could be some annoying stuff people type, but I just don't see a lot of it. And also, I'm not like a big person who like spends all day on social media looking at stuff people are saying about me. So I think that just helps, not just spending your time on social media. And it does kind of suck though, because like I feel like I need to tweet more and stuff, but I don't really enjoy tweeting and stuff that much. So it's just that's kind of my issue. But I also don't end up seeing what people say that much because I'm not always on. So I think part of it is just spending less time on social media. But then at the same time, it's like I do need to tweet more and stuff. So it's, for me, that's another annoying thing, is just like trying to balance that. Like I don't really like using social media, but I know I need to use it. So that's, yeah.
How do you like intend in the future to try to strike that balance? Are you just gonna like force yourself like you know, Tafo is doing like that engagement farming, you know?
I think for me, I have some ideas. It's just they'll take some work. Like trying to think. For me, it's just like about having things to talk about, because like I don't like posting stuff unless I think it's like interesting, like it's worth your time to look at. Like like some of my recent tweets are more about like I'll post like melee clips because I think they're sick. So I like posting that kind of stuff that I think is interesting. On my Instagram, I've posted a lot of food related stuff. So I was thinking like I should probably post that on Twitter too.
You ever think about doing a cooking stream? Like, hey, this is how I do. This is what I cooked
done
before.
A cooking stream.
All right, respect. Okay.
I cooked like ratatouille on stream. It turned out really bad, but it was funny. But yeah. Yeah, I think, I mean, one, I probably am going to just have to like force myself to tweet more, even if I don't really want to. But I think the other thing is getting more stuff ready that I know will be interesting. So I think just thinking more about it and like getting more clips together, getting more stuff together to tweet about. And just, I kind of want to tweet about the stuff I want to tweet about. I don't want to tweet about like, you know, I just ate this delicious bowl of oatmeal, guys. Bye. Have a nice day. I don't know. Like I want it to be like worth your time and then not to be kind of dumb or whatever.
I respect that. When you have free time, right? You have 3 hours, you can do whatever. It's been a long day or whatever. Are you are you going on YouTube? Are you going out to eat? You going on a bike ride? You're watching sports? What does Wizzrobe do to chill out?
I'm probably on YouTube, but it probably is not chilling me out. I love learning about stuff I'm interested in. So like I'm always like, if I'm not streaming or doing something, I'm pretty much always researching and looking at videos because I love learning about stuff.
What type of stuff? Like melee or like anything?
Like anything. Like the past like year and a half, my obsession has been about like nutrition and learning about food and stuff. So that's something I look up a lot. And so I spend a lot of time on YouTube, but what else? I think what else? I feel like I need to get better at relaxing and like kind of setting time aside to like specifically relax and not do anything, because I'm always like trying to do things. And I think that's the next thing I'm kind of looking into, is like how can I come up with like a relaxing routine to kind of wind down. I'm still trying to figure that out, but I do like going for walks like almost every day, and I like sitting outside in nature when I can to like relax, because it feels like nature just relaxes you just naturally, because we're humans, I guess. I don't know.
yeah, nature, you can't beat it. Here's a question though: are you like more of like, it's always, I guess you're in Florida, but so you don't have that many mountains, but like if you're more of a mountainous person, forest person, beach person, what's your nature?
I I've always thought mountains were super cool, but I'm never in a place with mountains. So when
Yeah.
I do see mountains, it's extremely rare and they're super cool. But yeah, I'm never around mountains because Florida has no mountains. Even when I'm in Texas, they don't really have mountains. They have like hills, because
Yeah.
Florida's like flat. But
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. Um, I would say more of like the forest mountain thing is cooler than like the beach. Um, like a nice trail or something, I would say is realistic.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel
Yeah.
that. What's something that makes you laugh? Like, what's your type of humor? Like, what makes you just like you can't? Like, some people like they like some type of like Seinfeld or some shit. I don't know. Like,
Yeah.
what's your type of go to when you just want to
Um,
laugh hard?
I just figured it out like 2 years ago because
Hmm.
people have like a humor, but sometimes you can't describe it. What they find funny is just funny, but it's hard to describe. But I know what it is for me. For me, it's like voices, basically, like impressions and stuff.
Yeah.
Like that's why I don't know what it was. Like whenever I play West Balls at like a summit and he would be a VIP, he just has like the funniest impressions, and I just laugh like crazy.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
remember watching Summit and Vish's impression of Leffen, where you're like, "I will win, evil." Like he sounds like an
Oh, okay.
Italian guy. That shit made me
I don't think
crack
I've
up.
heard that.
Ah, dude,
I
it's
don't
a
think I heard
legend.
that.
It's legendary. It's the worst impression you'll ever hear.
Oh, like I actually I didn't expect this either. It's like one of the videos I kept watching over and over was Zayn had like a Hungry Box impression. It was called Zwan or something.
Yeah, dude.
And he's like Merry Christmas, motherfucker, or something.
Yeah,
That was
yeah.
I love that video.
I love
that video.
I think it's so funny when other players like impersonate the other players. Right?
Yeah.
Dude, I have a question for you because you are like you're like calm in the game, like you'll do like a little like a little breath, but then
Yeah.
sometimes like the emotion comes out, like
Yeah.
the when you won against Hungry Box at one time, I think it was at
Yeah.
Yahoo, and you're slamming the chair, or you did that roar
yeah.
at Smash and Splash.
Yeah.
Like what's that energy when it comes out? Like I know it's not scripted, that's real shit, you know?
Yeah. I don't know. It just happens. I mean, it's just like you want something really bad and then you just barely get it, and then you just let out all that pent up energy, I guess. I can't really describe it. I don't
Yeah.
know. But
Is there
it is genuine.
Oh yeah, no, you can't fake that, dude. I could tell. Like,
Yeah.
is there like other avenues in life where you have that type of energy, where you have that pent up, like, oh, I did it. You know what I mean?
I'd say it's pretty specific to competing. It's like a
Mhm.
very specifically competing things, but I mean, um, things get me excited if I hear a good new song or I'm about to eat something super delicious. I get really excited.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's kind of hard for me to get excited about a lot of things, but there are a few things I do get excited about.
What's like your go to meal? Like, if you could just have your last meal on Earth, what would it be?
I don't know. I mean, I have like a my 5 favorite foods, which
Go for it. I love to hear it.
I'm pretty degenerate, but it's like bacon,
Mhm.
hot dogs, a really good pizza,
Yeah.
ramen, fried chicken. Those are like my 5 favorite foods.
You can't go wrong with that.
Yeah, super degenerate. Like, and they're basic, but they can be really good. Like I try to find like the best of each food, not just like any old hot dog, but like the
Yeah.
good hot dog or like the good fried chicken place or something.
Mm-hmm. So we're running out of time here, so I want to wrap it up with one last question. Thank you so much for coming on, by the way. This has been an awesome interview.
It's been fun, yeah.
The last question is going to be like, I always ask this for every player, is legacy important to you? And if so, what would you want your legacy to be?
It is important. What I would want it to be,
Wait, before you say what's important, I'm sorry for cutting you off. Can you explain why it's important to you?
I mean, I've always wanted to be like the best player, so that's kind of like something.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it would be cool if I could do like a Mewtwo King thing where I'm like the best or one of the best overall Smash players, because I think that's really cool. Because I think like everybody has the whole like I want to be the GOAT or whatever, but I think being the GOAT like overall Smash player would be even cooler because it's just I think it's a more kind of impressive accomplishment for one, but also I think it's cool, like more interesting because it shows like proficiency in like different skills basically. Like I know Leffen, like he probably wants to be like the GOAT fighting game player, so he plays Melee, he played Ultimate, he plays Guilty Gear, whatever game. So I think the being like multi game talented is like the most impressive thing.
And that's what you want your legacy to be solidified, and you want to be the guy known as this guy can play any game at the highest level.
Yeah, I think that would be like the sickest thing.
Have you thought about including like how Leffen does, Strive and Street Fighter now? Have you thought about doing fighting games or just sticking to those Smash games in general?
I think just sticking to the Smash games because I think the playing other fighting game is really impressive because they're a lot more different than Smash.
Mm-hmm.
But I think I just love Smash so much, and I actually enjoy all of them a lot. Most people, it's kind of like they enjoy one way more than the other, so they just choose that one. But for me, I enjoy all of them to such a similar degree that like I just want to be good at all of them, and I just feel like this is a series that's calling me. But I think it would be cool to be good at like some other game at some point. Like I would like to get like a really good speedrunning time in Wind Waker or something at some point. Like I've been doing Wind Waker speedruns on and off for like almost 10 years or something, but very infrequently. And I think if I could one day get like a top 3 or a world record time, like that would be sick. That could kind of like add to my like gaming portfolio. I don't think that's the word. Gaming like list of accomplishments,
Yeah, resume.
So I think I really like speedrunning. I think that'd be cool. And just like doing like cool gaming accomplishments, I think in general would be cool. But Smash is definitely like the main thing.
Awesome. Well, that wraps up the questions I have. If you want to shout out anything or plug anything, this is your chance. Go ahead.
I mean, shout out to everyone that's supported me. I would say I would really appreciate any support on my streams and my YouTube, twitch.tv/Wizzrobe. That's my Twitch. YouTube.com/Wizzrobe. That's my YouTube. And follow me on Twitter. Just support me. Any support I really appreciate. Especially during this time where Smash is kind of not doing as good, but hopefully we can go back up, start doing better as a community and a esport. And any support I really appreciate. It really means a lot to me.
Yeah, and the Metafy too, because
and the Metafy. Yeah. I'm pretty much free almost whenever. Like, so if you have like a specific time in mind, I more than likely can make it work. So
yeah,
it's
good bang for your buck. I've seen the prices. It's do it. Just do it.
Yeah, I agree. I try to make people get their money's worth.
Yeah,
sure.
It's more than fair. Okay, well, with that, thank you so much for coming on, Wizzrobe. I had a hell of a time, man. That was an awesome interview.
Yeah, that was awesome.
This has been Items On. I'm Ethiopium. Thanks for listening.